Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News. This is Scott from the Nibiru channel. It is July 14th, 2017. I'm here with our doctor and physicist. Doctor, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon, Scott. I'm very well, thank you. And you?
I'm doing pretty good. Listen, you might need to turn the volume up on your phone, or excuse me, on your phone.
Okay.
You know what? Sorry about that. Nope, it was my fault. I had my volume down. You're fine.
Okay.
Yes, I'm doing very well. Ladies and gentlemen, as you all know, you've probably seen all over YouTube, and as I reported earlier this morning, we're dealing with this oncoming CME, a lot of solar energy. This is the largest CME that we've seen this year. It's the largest CME that we've seen coming towards the Earth in quite a long time. And, you know, going over last week, well, actually this week and last week, talking about this sunspot, AR 2665. You know, once again, the NASA scientists, astronomers, whatever you want to call those boys in blue, you know, they didn't really make a big deal out of this. They just said it was one of the largest sunspots in a while, blah, 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 blah. Well, you know, they downplay all of the activity. And myself and the doctor, well, we were seeing a lot of activity. Yeah. And this was going to be Earth facing. And we were hoping and praying that a CME did not occur while this sunspot was moving past the Earth facing. Well, that didn't occur. And, you know, just not more than what, maybe several hours ago, I mean, this CME went off. I think in UTC time, I think it was somewhere like around midnight or just before midnight. We have all of the footage for you, and the doctor is going to give you her physicist's thoughts on this CME. And after reviewing some of the material, doctor, I mean, what do you think about this? It's looking pretty bad.
Yes, I think this was quite an effect that it had on the atmosphere already. We got hit by the solar radiation, the X-ray, and then we got hit by energetic protons, and that would immediately ionize our ionosphere, and that would create currents in the ionosphere, which will, of course, as I've mentioned before, create certain effects that lead to earthquakes. And that is because these currents will induce other currents inside, well, on the surface of the Earth and inside the Earth. And that, of course, leads to earthquakes. So I think we are going to get more earthquakes than usual again. And then the CME, of course, happened as a result of the solar flare, and that is still on its way, and it's heading right for Earth. And as we know already that our magnetosphere is under heavy pressure. So when this happens, we can expect more major effects, more earthquakes, more volcanic eruptions, more severe weather. The ionizing of the ionosphere, I think, is getting severe because of what is happening with not only the solar wind, but as you know, the other stellar winds that are hitting our magnetosphere. And so anything else like this kind of CME will have a severe impact on what's happening with our planet. It doesn't mean that we will not survive this. I think we will survive this, but I think we are going to get some severe effects.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, you know, after looking at this early this morning, I thought to myself, wow, you know, I mean, what do you think about the downplaying of some of this? You know, that sunspot was huge. I've been watching it for almost a week now. I mean, several times a day, as much of the data that was coming in, I was watching it. And they kept saying, oh, you know, there's not that much activity, that much activity. And then as it continued to turn Earth facing,
yes,
I mean, I don't know what these boys in blue at NASA and NOAA are looking at, but what I was looking at, I was seeing a lot of activity, with that
Yes.
sunspot, and you saw it with your own eyes yourself.
Yes, I mean, even before it turned towards facing Earth, it had an M-class and M1 class flare. So we knew it was capable of M-class flares. So it's not surprising that it had another one, an even stronger one. And of course, that it was Earth-facing is when it happened. But it did happen, and we have been hit by it already. And of course, what happens during this kind of solar flare is energetic protons, that is protons traveling at high speeds, say about 1/3 the speed of light, are accelerated away from the sun, and these particles reach our planet within 30 to 40 minutes. So we already were hit. Then these protons will spiral along the magnetic field lines. They will head towards the polar regions, but a lot of them go right through the magnetopause. They go right through the bow shock. They hit atmospheric particles, and then they ionize the atmosphere. They also are a radiation hazard for people flying in airplanes. So we have that. It can cause DNA damage that can, of course, lead to cancer. So all that is happening and has happened. And of course, when the ionosphere is ionized, the effects last for a long time. It's not just radio blackouts that happens. We have radiation, we have the currents in the ionosphere that will induce other currents on the surface, and it may even affect power grids. So yeah, this is all that's happened. And then, of course, we have the CME, which travels a little slower and will reach Earth 2 to 3, sometimes 4 days later. But this seems to be fast moving. So I think it's 2 days from now it will hit our magnetosphere, and that will again have another strong effect. It will lead to magnetic reconnections, holes in the bow shock that lead to particles entering into the magnetosphere, and it may possibly lead to geomagnetic storms.
I'm just showing everybody kind of a slow motion.
Yes.
As this
it was huge. As you can see, this was a huge CME. If you look at it, we don't see that many with this kind of size.
You know, there's something that I've noticed twice already.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting a little bit of a background feed. Does anybody hear background echo? Okay, it stopped. Okay. This something shot past here. If you follow my cursor right there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that was, but I was just kind of stepping through that.
Yes.
And there was 2 of them.
Yes, that may be a cosmic ray hitting the satellite.
I'm talking about that long streaking white line. I'm going backwards because I want to see that. Again,
it is strange.
It showed up in 2 different sequences. Let me see if I can catch it again. It was right before this. No, okay, it was afterwards. Yes, it was just went streaking by. Look at that.
That's right. But with this kind of solar storm in effect, and of course we can always expect some cosmic rays coming from the sun. So we can expect our satellites to be hit in some way or another as well.
Yeah, there seems like so much activity out there.
Yes, most of it is actually debris in the solar system. As you know, I've talked about this before. And the brown dwarf stars that have been coming into the solar system for many years now bring in their own clouds of ionized gas and debris. So it's not surprising that since they head towards the sun, that the inner solar system is so full of this. This is, as you can see, there are huge amounts of debris passing by.
Yeah, there's a couple of pretty big objects out there. I don't know what those objects are identified as. Yeah, you have a large object here. I don't know what this is. This could be, I don't
Definitely.
know, planet Jupiter. I don't know what it is. It's not identified.
No, I don't think it's a planet. I think it's part of the debris field that has come with these objects.
Yeah, there's so much going on. I mean, look at that. There's just stuff flying everywhere.
Yes, indeed. And we can see that. And
I'm going to slow this down. I'm going to slow this down a little bit for everyone to see this actually taking place.
Yeah, there goes the CME again. It's not as dramatic. Yeah, there we are. It's more dramatic on the LASCO, I think. C2. Yeah, but we can still see it here.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and move over to.
Oh, there we are again. Yes.
Yeah, we're going to move over to the predictor model.
And yes, we have an increase expected on the 16th of both plasma density and radial velocity. And that's the CME impacting the magnetosphere. But this is a very large CME, and that is quite an increase in density that we have there.
Yeah, that's a pretty good shot there. I'll tell you, that's.
Oh yes, that's high density impact.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to stop this here, and I'm just going to go ahead and use my cursor. And folks, if you follow me right up here, you're going to go ahead and see. We're going to try to get the exact timing. So we're looking at pretty close to the end of the 16th. And again, this is all in UTC time, so you can go ahead and try to calculate that. I hate that UTC time. But anyways, you can see, following my cursor here, that's very intense.
Yeah, it is very intense. We should remember that the round signet is as if we were looking from above the sun. So it's a horizontal cut through the solar system. And then the triangular one, or the arc-shaped one, is the vertical cut. So, and the yellow sphere is the Earth, of course. And we can see that high density of the CME is heading straight for Earth and will impact it then.
Okay, yeah, the little green one is the Earth. The little yellow one is our sun.
Oh, yes, okay.
If you take a look over here, I mean, you can see the vastness.
It's huge. This was a huge CME.
Wow. Now we see this plasma density increase directly, almost directly on the 17th, midnight UTC time. This plasma density goes through the roof. Also, the radial velocity has a pretty good spike, kind of levels off. It's a little bit of a bumpy road, but you know, this radial velocity, you know, we're really not too worried about that. But this plasma density going right through the roof, right through. I mean, right on the 17th at midnight UTC. So that is, well, that's about 11. It's about 11 p.m., 12 a.m. on the 17th. So what that makes it on the East Coast of the United States about 6 o'clock in the morning? Yeah, I think that's about right.
Midnight. Well, we are on say New York time is 4 hours before UTC, minus 4 hours. So that would actually be on the 16th at 20 hours, which is 8 o'clock.
Oh, so we're behind in UTC. I never that UTC. It gets me all confused.
We are behind. It's minus 4 hours. So this will hit us on the 16th in the evening, about 8 o'clock.
Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you live, whatever state, whatever country.
Yeah, it's minus 4 hours. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I also get confused with the time zone.
I know you're still getting adjusted to your time zone here.
I'm still getting confused. So yeah, UTC. So at UTC at midnight. Yeah. So we are So it will actually hit us later. Sorry, my thinking
about 6 a.m. Something like that.
So it will hit us on the 17th, 4 hours later. So it will be about 4 a.m.
Yeah, and that the solar wind predictor has a little plus or minus of several hours. It's usually
Yes.
not dead on. Now, we're actually looking at the CME tracker, and once again, you're going to see the Earth is in yellow. You could see the little schedule up here: Earth, Mars, Mercury, Venus, and some of the satellites up here: Stereo A and B and Spitzer. You can see the Earth right here. And I'll tell you the truth, we are only catching about the tail end of one side. Could you imagine if that would have exploded just a few hours earlier?
Yeah.
We'd have been in some serious trouble.
Yeah, that's right. So
I mean, you could see the expansion of this CME, the expansion of the energy as it passes by. I mean, that's going to be directly hitting Venus.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much. I think Venus is probably going to get a harder hit than we will. But,
yes, definitely. It will hit the green planet. That's Venus.
Yeah, that's pretty intense, folks. And,
yeah.
Once again, we try to make all of these observations. With our research into Planet X, we take a look at everything. We have to. We know that this brown dwarf or these brown dwarf stars, we know that they are affecting the sun. We know for a fact that, there are the cover-ups. They don't want you to know this information about what is lurking within our inner solar system and what is causing these issues. Think back last year. Think back the year before. If you were following any of this information, we really weren't dealing that much with some of these current situations. Yes, last year we did have some earthquakes. We did have a lot of issues going on with the sun. But as I've mentioned, again, going through the winter, everything that we were looking at, it was telling us that this upcoming spring, this upcoming summer in the Northern Hemisphere, it was going to begin slowly. And then the trying times were going to occur right after May. And it seems that everything is holding true. And again, I think that we are only in the beginning stages of what we're about to see. And with this solar energy coming our way, it's set to impact on or about the 17th of July. There is a very high possibility that we may have multiple catastrophic earthquakes and possibly even some catastrophic volcanic eruptions. There's no doubt about it. I mean, what do you think about that, Doctor?
Oh, definitely. As I said before, we definitely are going to have some catastrophic events happening. We already have increased earthquakes. But Scott, I'd just like to go back to the time zone. What I said at first was correct. So we're 4 hours behind.
Oh, okay.
So that means it will actually hit us. Our time will be 8 o'clock on the 16th.
That's the East Coast time.
That's right. That's East Coast.
Yeah, that UTC time, man, it gets me so confused.
Yeah, it confuses me too, especially since I used to be in South Africa and I had to work with your time.
Yeah, you were 6 hours ahead of me every day, and yeah, that was.
That's right.
I'm glad you're back in my time zone over here.
Yes, that's right.
That's definitely helping me.
Yeah, it helps to think that this is London time, which is 4 hours ahead of us here. UTC time is London time.
Oh, so that's who controls UTC time, the British.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, now we're looking at the GOES 13 proton flux. This is between July 12th, or it begins on July 12th. And
that's right.
I mean, we can see, and it does take a lot for this to register some anomalies, some energy. And as we see right here, moving just a little past the 14th, we see a massive fluctuation.
That's right. So this what happened was the X-ray flare led to an acceleration of protons, solar protons. And as we know, the surface of the sun is mainly made up of protons. So these protons were accelerated from the solar surface at extremely high speeds, say about 1/3 the speed of light, which is about 62,000 miles per second.
Wow.
Yes. So that's the kind of speed we'd expect from these protons. And these protons, because they are traveling so fast, will take 30, 40 minutes to get to the Earth. So this is when the GOES satellite picked them up and measured these very energetic, very fast-moving protons. And these protons go right through the magnetosphere. The magnetosphere has no effect on them. These are basic cosmic particles because they are traveling so fast. So they go right through the magnetosphere, right through the bow shock. They impact the atmosphere, and they lead to cascades, to atmospheric particles losing electrons and therefore becoming ionized. This is what creates our ionosphere. And of course, this leads to all kinds of other effects because we then have currents in the ionosphere and so on. Yes, and this shows the X-ray flux. And this, on the y-axis we have intensity, on the x-axis we have time, and as we can see at the beginning of July 14th, and we see that suddenly the intensity went up. And this again was measured by the GOES satellite because X-rays are photons and they will reach Earth in 8 minutes because they travel at the speed of light. So that's when they was impacted and the satellite measured the flux. And we can see large peaks there.
Yeah, those peaks were very alarming whenever I looked at this. They were just,
yeah.
well, I don't want to say off the chart, but they're up there pretty high on the chart.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, literally.
Yes.
Now, you know, whenever me and you, we've been going around and round talking about this this opposition of stellar wind.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you know, looking at some of the solar wind data that we were checking out.
Yes.
You know, once again, we're seeing these very, very slow solar winds that drop to 350 kilometers per second. You know, they fluctuate, move up to 400 or 500 kilometers per second, and they drop down again. I mean, this is very, very abnormal. I mean, especially with coronal holes, Earth facing.
Yes.
Those streams, they should be much, much faster. But once again, your opinion, my opinion, we're facing some other type of stellar opposition. I mean, am I correct?
Yeah.
Or
I think so, Scott. I mean, I have written already, and I think we've done live streams on this, that I believe that there is at least one object right behind the Earth. And by object, I mean a brown dwarf star, a rejuvenated brown dwarf star, capable of particle flux or stellar wind. And this particle flux will be moving towards Earth, towards the sun and the objects behind the Earth. So it will, once it goes past the Earth, it will oppose the solar wind that's coming from the sun. And there will be impacts. And not only will it slow it down, I suppose it will increase the density of these solar winds because now there will be more particles coming back towards Earth because some of the particles from this object will be inside the solar wind stream. Plus, our magnetosphere is getting impacted from behind by the stellar wind from this object. And this is why we see our magnetosphere under a severe crisis at times, where it seemed the bow shock seems to fold up. The direction of the wind inside the magnetosphere often reverses. And we see all these effects. I think our magnetosphere is under severe impact and danger because of what's happening in the solar system. And don't forget that our life on Earth depends on our magnetosphere. Without our magnetosphere, most of our atmosphere would get ripped off, and our planet would become a lot like Mars. So it's actually very dangerous. For now, our magnetosphere is still managing to keep us safe, but it is a danger that we are facing.
So, you know, all of a sudden in the media over the last 48 hours, we've heard all of this push about Mars, getting to Mars, colonizing Mars. I mean, what is your take on that? I mean, do you think that is some type of predictive programming? I mean, they've been talking about it for, oh my, all the way back into the 50s. But now all of a sudden this, what's his name? Elon Musk, what a name. I mean, now this guy wants to send, you know, a whole lot of people to colonize Mars. I mean, would you like to live on Mars?
No, I think if we were to have a base on Mars, it would be like having a base in outer space. Mars is quite a dangerous place. As I said before, the atmosphere is not dense enough. Its magnetosphere does not seem to be nearly as effective as Earth's. It has severe storms, dust storms. It's not a good place to live. It's basically like living in a desert. So we could colonize Mars by building a base on it, yes, but it would be a sealed off base, completely sealed off. It's not like living in the freedom that we live in on our planet, where we can walk outside, we can grow, we can have agriculture, we can have animals. It's not the same way. We would never live in the same way on Mars.
So basically your vacation at the beach would be over.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think I want to go live on Mars. I think I will take my chances right here on Mother Earth, and whatever happens here, happens here. You know, ladies and gentlemen, we keep talking about the situation at hand, and, you know, each and every day there's something, you know, it's to the point, you know, sometimes I'm afraid to close my eyes just for a few hours to get a few hours of sleep, because I know as soon as I wake up, there's going to be something there for me, and it needs to be reported. You know, we talk a lot about this information about these brown dwarf stars around our sun. They don't want to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. Maybe we do, but you know, the powers that be, the elite, the governments, NASA, NOAA, you know, all of these space agencies, they don't want to talk about it, because the minute they tell you that these objects are there, they're afraid that it's going to cause a worldwide panic. But as you can see, we're telling you about it. We're showing you the evidence that we find, and none of you are panicking, because the information's being explained to you. Nobody is saying that the Earth is going to be completely destroyed. Nobody is telling you that a rogue planet is going to crash into the Earth. Nobody is saying anything like that. What we're trying to explain is the interaction with these objects with the sun, and the sun's interaction with the Earth. And these are the critical points. You know, I mean, these earthquakes, we all know, they could be catastrophic. The volcanic eruptions, again, they can be catastrophic. You know, I get into these battles with these people over there at this grand solar minimum because they keep pushing this ice age agenda. I don't feel that we're going to be going into an ice age, and it's not going to be caused by the sun directly. You know, I mean, the last ice age we had, scientists talk about massive volcanic eruptions simultaneously happening around the globe. which spewed so much volcanic ash into the atmosphere, it literally blocked out the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, you're not going to have plants growing. Animals would definitely start to die, as they found them right in the United States. They found, I think this had to do with Yellowstone, but they found animals that were buried deep in volcanic ash, and they didn't die from the explosion. They died from suffocation. Volcanic ash is equivalent to like crushed powderized glass. And if you're going to be breathing this for any short amount of time, you're going to have very serious issues. So the fact of the matter is, I don't believe in this ice age, because last year, 2016, was the hottest year on record. Now, look what we're going through already this year. Now, the whole entire planet is not seeing these extreme hot temperatures, but we are seeing them.
Mm-hmm.
And we are also seeing extraordinary weather, massive hailstones and hailstorms, massive amounts of flooding, massive amounts of rain. Rain coming down inches and inches per hour. I mean, we all saw what happened in Japan and China last week and the week before. I don't know if any of you are paying attention to what's happening in South America, but those poor people in some of those countries are just being inundated with torrential rains and mudslides and landslides. And yes, it's costing people their lives. So that is a big point. We're not looking at mass devastation worldwide, but we're seeing it now in different areas around the world. It is occurring. Just the other week, this massive hailstorm that just inundated Spain. I mean, their streets of that small city, it looked like New York City in the dead of the winter time. That's how much hail there was on the ground. Other places around the world, baseball size hail. I mean, this is truly the sign of the times. We're not trying to fearmonger. We're just trying to bring you the information, and the doctor's trying to give you her layman's terms of this scientific information, because not all of us are scientists. Not all of us are physicists and understand this information. And sometimes you need somebody to break it down and tell you what's happening. I think she does a fantastic job at doing this.
Thank you, Clyde.
You're welcome. So, in the course of the next couple of days, we're going to be paying very, very close attention to what's happening. Again, these are NASA and NOAA models. So, there is a little plus or minus with these models. So we're going to keep a very, very close eye on it. But in the course of these next couple of days, there is a very, very, very high chance of this solar disruption creating major disruptions on this planet. Forget about losing internet service and the radio outages. I think we have to seriously worry about the earthquake and volcanic activity. And Doctor, you want to speak a little bit about this this ionosphere, because this is to me, this is a big concern, what's happening there.
Yes, I think we saw the lightning, high altitude lightning last night, and that to me tells me that the charges, the electric currents in the ionosphere, in the higher parts of our atmosphere, is increasing, and that leads to lightning. I mean, you get lightning because these are basically the Earth is trying to, it gets to such a high level that it tries to equalize with other points. So this is basically a discharge between points where the electric potential is extremely high to points where it is lower. And therefore we would get lightning between different points in the atmosphere. But the lightning was so intense and so colorful that it even surprised me. I had never seen anything like it. And to me, that's the sign that our ionosphere is getting more and more ionized. And don't forget that we've seen signs of this happening with other planets. Venus For example, its ionosphere became extremely bright because of just this. Obviously, that's where the kind of light that we've seen coming from Venus came from. And so now we see it happening with our own planet. And this will cause major disruptions because these discharges, these currents induce other currents. I've talked about this so many times. It induces currents in lower down in the atmosphere where cloud formation occurs. This leads to increased cloud formation at lower altitudes. And then it leads to currents wherever we have wiring on the surface, so that can impact our power lines and our transformers, the power grid. But most of all, it impacts what's happening inside the Earth. So we are going to get currents in the outer core, which is liquid, basically liquid iron, and increased currents heat up the outer core of the Earth, and then it heats up the magma above that. In the mantle, it leads to magma flows, increased magma flows in the mantle and the crust. That places a lot of pressure on the crust, and then we start seeing earthquakes happening at the fault lines. And basically, this is why we have so many earthquakes. If you compare the number of earthquakes we have now happening every day or weekly with what we were having, say, 10 years ago, then you will see that it has increased significantly. And this is because of what's happening with our ionosphere. And it's all due to the increased number of ionized particles impacting the Earth. We were impacted by protons today. These are ionized particles. These are basically hydrogen nuclei that come from the sun, and they travel at high speed. They come right through, they ionize our ionosphere. But we're getting particles and from not just the sun, from these other objects. And I think this is what's causing these effects.
You know, last night I was outside. I was kind of late, just checking out the sky, and I started seeing these flashes coming through my office window.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't remember, I watched the weather report, and I don't remember hearing about any storms coming in, nothing like that. So I stepped out back, and the sky was a deep charcoal gray. It wasn't even black.
Mm-hmm.
It was a deep charcoal gray with this pink magenta tone mixed in with it right above the horizon.
Yes.
And I was wondering where this light was coming from. And as I stepped out there, I was watching these array of just this lightning stretching across the sky horizontally from one end to the other. And this went on for, probably about an hour to an hour and a half. And I kept going out there and I kept looking at this, and I'm like, wow, this is really crazy looking, with the color of the nighttime sky, the magenta pink right over the horizon, and then these streaks of purple lightning, but there were very few clouds in the sky.
Mm.
And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, what is happening right now? I tried to catch some of it on camera, on video, but it just wouldn't come out. But it was pretty wild to see that. And that's kind of I think, that's the first time I've ever seen something like that.
Yes.
So it kind of makes you wonder more and more what we're in store for.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to be out every night. Checking it out, trying to observe this. And, let's just hope everything works out, folks. It does look like we're going to be in for some trying times here over the next couple of days. The Earth's not going to be destroyed. And, we're just looking at some serious situations here, I think, with with some earthquake activity coming up, some volcanic activity.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe in the days, in the weeks, in the months to come, I believe that we are going to be looking at more intense times. There's no doubt about that. But anyways, folks, I'm going to go ahead and end this live stream. And the doctor is going to be back later on. She has a report that she wants to talk about the large iceberg that broke off in the Antarctic. Kind of an unusual situation. You know, I did a report on this ice shelf, months and months ago, when they were talking about evacuating some of these scientists that are down there building their new colonies for the New World Order.
Yeah.
At least that's what I think. You know, and the doctor has done a really good report on this, and we're going to talk about it because it is kind of unusual.
Yes.
Because they are in the dead of their winter time. Am I correct, Doc, here? That is kind of unusual.
That's absolutely correct. So it was strange that it broke off so quickly at this time. I know it had been breaking off for quite a while. It had been breaking off. I think they noticed it was breaking off first in 2010. But all of this, I think, is due to our planet warming up and the oceans warming up from the bottom and so on. And yeah, another one broke off earlier. I think it was in a few years ago. It was B15, but that one broke off in spring. So it was strange that this one happened in winter.
Yeah, they say it's the size of the country of Luxembourg.
Yeah, that's right. It's huge.
Even though that's a small country. You know, I mean, something that size. I mean, I don't think it's going to create any type of a situation anytime soon. Yeah. But when an ice shelf does break off the size of Luxembourg into the ocean, I guess it is something to talk about. Very, very strange. You know, Doctor, somebody in the chat had made a comment that there's nothing to worry about. The only thing, what the hell did they say? Something pretty stupid. The only thing that's going to happen is you're going to get a sunburn.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So what do you think about that? Maybe this person should go stand on top of one of those volcanoes and see how intense that sunburn gets.
Yes, well, the sunburn is definitely happening because our ozone layer is getting depleted. And, well, geoengineering has something to do with that. And indirectly, the fact that we have these objects in the solar system has a lot to do with that, because they're using geoengineering to hide these objects from the Earth population.
Oh, we have an invitation up there to Toronto by Bomb 1977. Absolutely. You could take me out for dinner. How about that? Me and the doctor. Yeah, we'll take you out. Hey, listen, you know, the doctor's already completed 5 chapters in her book. She's shooting for 10 chapters in this first book that she's writing. And this is going to be about the beginning of her experience. And it's going to be very, very interesting. And as soon as she is finished and we get this thing published, and we're going to be doing this very, very rapidly through Amazon. We're not going through no New York City, Manhattan publishers that will drag this thing out for a long period of time. We want this information out there ASAP. It will be available for download as an ebook, and it's going to be full of illustrations and pictures and documentation. And I can't wait till she's finished with it so I can proofread the whole thing and enjoy it myself. But as soon as that book is done, as soon as it is done, we're going to be moving forward, straight forward into the public speaking engagements, because, folks, the bottom line is we're being censored by YouTube. There's just no doubt about it.
Yes.
No doubt about it. I had an independent auditing service, a media company. It cost me quite a bit of money for them to audit my YouTube channel with the analytics that comes with your channel, all kinds of stats and statistics. The fact of the matter is, I also have a website. All of the videos are on my website. Every single video that is made is on my website. So when someone clicks on the video on my website, it tells me about it. It gives me the stats. Well, this has been going on since March, and I don't understand how someone could click on a YouTube video that's linked directly to YouTube, and the video is being played on YouTube. It's not being played on my website. They're using a link, and I'm registering 1.2 million views on my website for Planet X News. And YouTube is saying that, you know, there is only 675,000. How's that possible? Well, it's not possible, and the auditing company proved it. So they completed their audit, and it is clearly showing that YouTube is stealing views, not putting the views up there. They are also unsubscribing you people. They are unsubscribing you, and they're also not notifying you of the video uploads and the live streams. That's a fact, because I'm getting so many emails from people telling me that they're not getting the notifications and they've been unsubscribed. One guy told me he was unsubscribed from my YouTube channel 4 times in 1 week. 4 times. Incredible. So they're trying to smash the information. There's no doubt about it. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, I urge you, don't rely on the notifications. If you have the time, stop into either the Planet X News channel or the Nibiru channel or even the doctor's channel and check in. If you have to, check in a couple of times a day to see if there's new information. I wish there was another way that I could notify you that would be kind of economical and feasible, but I really don't have that type of technology. So that is one of the biggest reasons why we are going to be moving to the public speaking. These public speaking engagements are not going to be censored. They're not. That's the bottom line. You know, I mean, I did a live stream earlier today because I got a pretty credible and serious death threat from one of these grand solar minimum idiots. I've been getting these types of death threats for like a year. But now, because of major discoveries that we've made, and, you know, the doctor bringing her professionalism and her expertise and her knowledge to the table and not being afraid to speak about it, well, things are intensifying. And they want to spread their disinformation and discredit everything. I mean, now they're running videos right now on YouTube in the troll faction stating that the doctor thinks that the moon is Nibiru. I mean, Jesus God almighty.
It's funny.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty stupid, but what do you expect from stupid people? You expect stupid things. But anyways, folks, come back to the channel. Make sure that you have these notifications set up. I mean, YouTube went ahead and reset my YouTube channel to default settings, which showed anybody coming back to my channel, no content, blank, nothing, just my header, just my name, just my avatar, but no content. Yesterday, I had to reset it 2 or 3 times, and then again this morning. So the best thing you can do is take the time, come back over, stop in, see what's happening, and we're going to be running live streams on the Planet X News channel and the Nibiru channel. We're going to be running our live stream reports with the doctor, okay, because she has done, what is it, doctor, over 150 reports or more than that?
Yes, I've lost count, Scott. I've written so many, and it was fun writing them. And now I'm reviewing them as I'm writing my book, because I actually want to remember everything that I've written. I don't even remember it anymore, but I have so many documents. It's amazing.
Yeah, you've done a tremendous amount of work, and it's
Yes.
greatly appreciated. So what we're going to be doing, ladies and gentlemen, is each and every night, 7 days a week, okay, in kind of the downtime, we're going to be rerunning these live stream reports on both channels. And it's going to give everyone an opportunity to listen to what the doctor had to say. As I started this experiment last night, I found that a lot of people were saying exactly what I thought. Wow, I never saw this report. Wow, I never saw this video. So if you happen to, stumble over to the channel, you'll have an opportunity to converse with people in the live chat. And the video, they're usually about an hour and a half to 2 hours long, our live streams. They're packed full of a bunch of information from the doctor and all of her illustrations and reports and pictures and our findings. Hey, if you've seen it once, hey, sometimes you watch a movie more than once, rehashing some of the information. So if you're wondering why we're doing that, that is the reason why. Because there are tens of thousands of people that did not get the opportunity to see these reports, even though they're listed on my channels as videos. For some reason or another, they were never notified of the live stream. Something occurred. So we're going to be doing that every single day, 7 days a week. These live streams and reruns of her reports will be on both channels. Now, in the very, very near future, I'm going to be adding a third laptop, and this laptop is going to be strictly for live streaming on her channel, the Planet X News channel, and the Nibiru channel. So all three of these channels will be live streaming at night, all the way through the night. And I know that we're dealing with different time zones also, so that gives pretty much everybody around the world an opportunity to listen to her reports. And this is something that those other people, they don't want this to happen. But you know what? We're not going to play their game. They're going to play ours. Any last words, Doctor, before we end our live stream?
Well, again, Scott, thank you so much for your help. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. And, well, I'd like to say that we are going through difficult times, and the times may get more difficult. But as always, I'd like to say that it's time to get to know our Creator, who wants to help every single one of us.
Yes, I agree. I agree. At this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, everybody needs to have some sort of faith. I mean, if that's all that we end up with is just our faith, I believe that we will be well taken care of in the next life. I'm actually looking forward to it. And, thinking about that death threat that was passed my way, it looks like somebody wants to see me move into that next life a lot quicker. But it's not going to happen. I already know I'm going to live well into my 90s. But anyways, folks, make sure you stay tuned. We'll be back in a little while with the doctor's report on the iceberg, and she has other information that she wants to share with all of you. We thank all of you very, very much for taking the time to stop over and join us in gathering this information and listening to it. This is Scott from Planet X News and the Nibiru channel with our rogue physicist. Thank you for watching.